Powered by Riverside FM. Powered by Riverside FM.
Good morning. Good morning. I hope you guys are feeling good. I hope you guys are feeling good. Listen, I've got a lot I got to get off my chest today about people and their garbage credit takes, their horrible use of credit, and I'm excited for it. So let's get into today. But first, I love Riverside, so I want to thank you guys for joining into today's stream and podcast. Today's podcast and live stream is sponsored by Riverside FM. Now, if you guys have never heard of Riverside FM, check it out. They do all of my podcasting, my shorts, and everything. Check them out. They've also got an amazing mobile app as well that I would highly suggest that you guys check out. But with that, good morning. Good morning. I've got a crazy take. I've got a crazy take today about credit, and I don't think it's really that crazy of a take. Mostly, I just need to talk to you guys and teach you because I mean, with so many people, and credit is the worst thing to them. Having debt is the absolute worst thing to them. It is. I talked about it in our last episode. If you have not seen our last episode where we dived into actually it was a few episodes ago, sometime last week, we had our episode where we dived into the things that keep us broke, like are the mindsets that keep us broke, the 5 mindsets that keep us broke. And one of them was that debt is a major failure. And I briefly touched on it, but I hinted at this week's podcast episode where I was going to be talking much more about debt strategies and why debt doesn't have to be a bad thing. It doesn't have to be, especially if you have the right strategies in place, if you have the right people to help you out with it, right? Debt can be a beautiful thing. And so I want to get into talking about that today because debt has been something massive for me. 1, to be able to use. 2, for a lot of my clients. 3, for a lot of my business partners, the business owners that I've worked with and helped out as well, entrepreneurs. I mean, just whether you are an entrepreneur, a business owner, or you are just a professional, working day-to-day life, or you are just trying to build yourself something, right? Regardless of where you are in your journey, debt and credit can be strategized so very well. I don't care if you are on the brink of bankruptcy. It can be strategized very well. So today we're going to get into talking about credit, but mostly we're going to be talking about the 3 different types of credit. And then I'm going to dive into, I'm going to specifically do like the 5 W's. I don't know. I don't know if it's been a long time since you guys have heard the 5 W's before, like who, what, when, where, why, and how. Who, what, when, where, why, and how. The 6 W's, but how isn't a W, right? So we never, you guys know what I'm talking about, right? We all grew up in the same era. I don't know about these kids nowadays. These kids nowadays, I don't know. I mean, my baby brother, I guess he's not a baby anymore. My baby brother is the way that he's learning math. And I'm sure a lot of people I don't have kids. So those of you who do have children, I could not imagine. I cannot imagine the way that you're watching them learn. And you are probably just like, what is this? I barely remember what I learned in school and how I learned how to do this math. You're learning that. I don't know what that is. years ago when I was in college, my second degree, I took a math class to teach math to other kids or to children of all like ages. And it was a cool class because I had the chance to see so many different ways to teach things. It was really cool. I think maybe that's also another reason why I love doing these podcasts, where I get the chance to like not just share my opinions, right? Because I think that's what podcasting is about, just sharing your opinions, but also educate as well. So that is a really cool piece. That is a really cool part about it. But anyway, let's get into the meat and potatoes, because I have a lot I got to get off my chest and a lot to teach and help educate today. I'm so very excited. So if you find value in this, make sure to share this with whomever. Check out the shorts that come along from this as well. Let me know for all the TikToks and the shorts, if you guys do enjoy the TikToks and shorts. It lets my marketing team know, my editing team know that like what kind of ways to kind of edit and take each short, each TikTok, each small video and things like that as well. So again, got a lot to get off my chest. Now I did build up this very, very, very nice breakdown for you guys. But here's what I want to talk about first. You think credit is just a score, right? People think credit is just a score, and that's honestly consumer thinking. Wealthy people use credit as a tool. It's literally a weapon, and it comes in 3 forms. That's personal, business, and corporate credit. And if you've never heard of corporate credit before, and you don't even understand how to use business credit, I pray that you understand personal credit. And if you don't, then that's why I'm here today a little bit to help you guys out. But primarily, we want to talk about that business and corporate credit as well, and how to get there, because we're going to break down each one. Personal credit. That is, you're born with it. You got your social security number. You're born with it. Business credit. Well, I don't have a business. I have an LLC. Okay, well, start a business. I think it did just shut off. It did just disconnect. Come back. There we go. Jeez. 2, business credit. Start a business so that way you can start building business credit. So that way you can get away from just your personal credit. Well, I don't want to start a business. That's fine. Start something. Start an LLC. And corporate credit. Well, you want low interest rates? You want 0.75% interest rate on your mortgage? Corporate credit. So these people, these wealthy individuals, are using a completely different system than you're even using. So which one are you building right now, or are you stuck at just that first one, personal credit? So we're going to dive into all of that today. We're going to talk about the traps. We're going to talk about the whys, the hows, and all that stuff. All right. Now, I am pretty excited about today because there is so much to learn from. And as you guys know, I love to draw. All right, so I've got this beautiful chart of what each of these are. We're going to talk about how to build each type of credit. We're going to talk about some interest rates as well, and then we're going to talk about the 5 W's for each of these. But we're going to dive into personal credit first, because obviously personal credit, we got to understand a little bit about credit, right? In order to be able to talk about this. So obviously, personal credit, super simple. What is personal credit? When you're born, you're given your social security number, right? Once you're 18 years old, you get your FICO score. Your FICO score, this reports to the credit bureaus, and it reports to Equifax, TransUnion, right? So on and so forth. And this allows you to start taking personal guarantees personal guarantees on lines of credit, maybe credit cards, loans, things like that, on CCs and loans. So just any sort of lines of credit, right? These, you can obviously get credit cards, you can get loans, you can get auto loans, right? You can get mortgage on your personal credit, things like that. And they're reporting to, let's say, Equifax, right? And they're reporting to Equifax. And Equifax is just checking your other credit. It's checking what you have done in order to want to give you the ability to have more, right? You've got a credit score that goes from around, 300 to around 800 or so, but perfect. A good credit score, right, would be somewhere around this 750 plus, right? Somewhere around there. Somewhere around that 750 plus. So how would you build this? I mean, just by being a good person, right? As you open lines of credit, you'll open lines of credit and you pay it back. You pay it back in time. Now, obviously, you also get interest rates too. So we'll talk about interest rate here shortly, but they add interest rates onto the debt. So that way they can get money back, right? What happens is the bank is going to want to get that money back faster. So that way they can ultimately redistribute more money out in the form of debt or back into their reserve funds as well. So you open lines of credit, pay it back on time, right? Things like that. So that's where you start. But as you go on in life, what you have done stays on your credit report, right? So if you've got 10 accounts open, your history, you have a credit history here that stays on your report. Pretty simple. It's super simple. And this is so funny. That does not look like 10 accounts. But you've got 10 accounts. Let's say, and all 10 of those accounts stay in your history. You've got, some months where you were late and some months where you paid on time and some months where you had to take a deferral or whatever. But all of that, every little detail stays on your accounts. It all stays in your history. Obviously, you want to have a great history. The longer the history, the better as well. So there end up becoming so many different factors from once you start building your personal credit and you're personally guaranteeing that you will pay for it. And if you don't pay for it, then that's when they can collect it and they can obviously repossess it, whatever it is, or not want to give you more lines of credit, things like that. Now, because of them wanting to pay money, have more money going through the system, they have interest rates. Obviously, with these interest rates, there's what's called 10-to-1 fractional reserve lending. This is where for every $10 you put in the bank, they actually only keep one. The rest of it goes out to others, right? The rest of it goes out to other people. It goes to buy their treasury bonds and buy insurance and buy into real estate and all of these things. That's what the bank does, right? So they charge you interest rates, and typically, right, 15, 20% interest rates. They could charge 25 plus, right, interest rates for maybe credit cards. They can charge even, let's say, maybe you can get a good mortgage for like 6 to 8% right now for a good personal credit, right? Depending on like your down payments and such. And then what about like car loans? Maybe you're looking at 8 to 12% for an okay car loan. Right now, I know you can also find these, and these are also just kind of estimates. So some people are have a lot better rates. Some people have a much worse rates, right? But you could probably find. Oh, I meant to put loans up here. Loans 15 to 20%. Credit cards 25 to about 25 plus %. Right, you can find those. Mortgages and car loans. And this is just so that way that money can go right back into the banking system to continue to invest into other things and whatnot, so they can get that money back faster. Now, we'll dive into the 5 W's here shortly, but again, this is just a super basic overlay, like super basic overlay. No like specific details about personal credit. You just get it automatically when you turn 18. You have this FICO score. You can also start taking out lines of credit earlier as well and start building it up too. But by the time you're 18, you're given one automatically. Let's go ahead and move over to business credit, because this is where it gets a little bit more confusing for a lot of people. Now, what is business credit? Well, business credit is once your LLC or your entity is born, once you have an EIN, you'll get business credit. You can set up your DNB, your Dun and Bradstreet's number. For the purpose of it, we're just going to call it Dun's number. This is a different credit score rating. This is it's similar, but it's given once you have your LLC. And this is, as I said before, the Duns. So how these compare, right? FICO score, Duns number or score. And this, you are not personally guaranteeing. You are not personally guaranteeing. This is based on your business. This is based on your company, your LLC, your EIN. Now, you can have multiple Dun & Bradstreet's number for your LLCs and EINs. One per, right? So if you have multiple LLCs, you can have one per. But they all report to the same credit bureaus. So reports to same bureaus. One day, my handwriting is gonna get much better. I don't know. I've been drawing to educate and teach for years now. Years now. So they report to the same credit bureaus and such. Meaning, like, if your FICO score reports to Equifax, so does your DUNS number. It reports to Equifax as well. What's the issue with that? Well, the issue with that is if you don't have a good credit score, opening up business credit, they report to the same credit bureaus, right? If the credit bureaus are looking at your history, if the credit bureaus are looking at your history, they're looking at your history. Even though it's not personally guaranteed, it still has a weight. Why? Because also your EIN is still also attached to your social security number. So they report to the same bureaus, so they're still looking. Now, can you get much better stuff? Yeah. Can you have a better credit score? Yeah. Right? A good business credit score is still around 750. Same exact thing, same scale, same rating. But here, how to build it up? Well, once you create your DNB number, your DUNS number, then you open up business lines of credit, open business lines of credit, and pay it back. Revolutionary, I know, right? Revolutionary. And now you start to build up on your business history. And you can also start to have separate kind of separate scores here and there. But you open up business lines of credit. That's where you can get, different types of loans and credit cards and such, right? Difference here is that, well, the bank doesn't have as much weight if you're not always only borrowing from a bank. There are tons and tons of ways to be able to get other loans, small business loans. You can get that from all types of people. You can get SB loans from investors, or really, you can. But you can also still get them from banks, right? Banks still do. So if you do get them from banks, you, as a business, you're still going to have that interest, right? Because banks still need that, or they still do that fractional reserve lending. But because it's a business and your business is personally guaranteeing it, or your business is guaranteeing it, not you, your business is it should be more stable, right? That's why it's also pretty difficult to get approved for business lines of credit if you're a brand new business. Sometimes it can be a little bit more difficult than personal lines of credit. But we're not going to get into the strategies just yet, just kind of explaining the difference so that way you can understand. So since it might be a little bit more difficult, which that means that business lines of credit are a little bit more exclusive. More exclusive. This is key because the more exclusive something is, right, the more less common the more less common it is, the better. That's how it always is, right? We all know that. When something is more exclusive, it is better, typically, and in almost all cases, in some way, shape, or form. So because this is more exclusive for the banks, they are wanting to give loans and they're wanting to open up lines of credit for businesses that are a little bit more established. So in this case, you might be able to find business loans for, let's say, 7 to 12% for loans. Maybe your credit cards are like 10% to maybe 15% for business cards. And again, a lot of people have differences, right? It just depends. But as I kind of see and chat with so many different business owners and see where they were before working with them, and yeah. Now, let's say that you need maybe some sort of business rental property or something like that, right? You can be able to get mortgages through your business for business purposes. They're still pretty high right now, just because real estate overall is just pretty high. So we're just going to put real estate here through business for business stuff, business cards and things like that, right? That's going to be around about 6 to 10% you could potentially get. So like business auto loans. So generally speaking, just by setting up a business, you get better interest rates. You get better interest rates than personal credit, right? So like, I'm not going to get into the strategies too much just yet. So overall, when you have business credit, and it's also equivalently the same, right? Let's say it's about the same. You've got about the same score, personal versus business. Obviously, if it's for a business expense, you're going to want to use your business credit. You're going to find better loans there. You'll find better credit cards there. That's where a lot of people, they'll use their business credit card for personal things, just pay off their business credit card with their personal accounts. So that way they get the business interest rate, except or without having to deal with the personal interest rates, 25+%, and just pay it off with their personal accounts for taxes. So that's business credit with the DUNS number. Now, something a little bit more foreign to most people is corporate credit. I'm looking over here at my other screen, and I'm looking at how good my handwriting looks. Beautiful. You can understand every word that's on there, I think. This is going to be... I'll turn this document actually into a document, and I will link it down below as well. Speaking of, down below, if you are interested more in these and this, I have tons of links down there for you guys to be able to either, find more of my content or book consultations with me or anyone in my agency who are, credit specialists as well, or business specialists. I've also got a firm of business planners and attorneys as well, who can also walk you through the three of these and help you to enhance your credit across all three, especially the corporate credit, which I'm going to teach. So you can book that consultation as well for corporate credit down below using the links. So check out those links and you can be able to find them. But in addition, let's go ahead and talk about corporate credit. So corporate credit. When do you get corporate credit? So you don't get corporate credit unless you specifically ask or request. You have to specifically ask for or request corporate credit. You're just not giving it automatically. This automatically. This automatically. This, you have to, corporate credit, you have to specifically ask for it. This, you have to ask for it through the PayDex score. So here, we've got FICO, DUNS, this PayDex score. Now here, once again, you're not personally guaranteeing. You're not personally guaranteeing this at all. It is based on your business, fully based on your business. And it does not report to these same credit bureaus. It does not report to the same bureaus, which is a great thing, because this is where we have the difference between, okay, I've had bad credit history, and I don't want that to weigh on my business at all. I want to be able to build my business's credit and credit worthiness without my past history. I don't want my team, I don't want my employees, I don't want my C-suite, I don't want them to have to deal with limitations because of my personal history. Corporate credit, let's just, for example, I'm going to actually choose a different color right here. I'm going to go red. Corporate credit, for example, if these report to Equifax, corporate credit instead reports to Equifax Business. Equifax Business. TransUnion Business. They just report to a different to the business sides, the corporate side of the same credit bureaus. They just report to a different side, which they don't use your credit history. So it has no weight. Your personal and your business credit has no weight on your corporate reporting, which means that you get a fresh start. You can also have, this is also specifically for your LLC. Actually, I want to erase this right here and put for LLC. You can set up as many of these as you want to for as many LLCs. And so it is simply based on your LLC, not anything personal at all, period. Now, because of this, how to build, because of this, most people, you can have been a business owner for years. If you did not request to start working on your PayDex and you did not specifically go to banks, lenders who specifically report to the business side of the credit bureaus, which most don't. You have to specifically look for and find the ones who do. Most people start with 0 to 2. A score of 0 to 2. I'm gonna put start with 0 to 2. All right, that's their score, 0 to 2. Most people, whenever we sit down and look at them and when we're helping them out, they have like no corporate credit. And you're like, how can they have 0? At least 18-year-olds start off with a FICO of somewhere around like maybe 500 or 600. It's just non-existent kind of. How are they at 0? Well, 0 isn't bad. 0 isn't bad like 300, like a 500 would be, like a 450 would be, right? It's not bad in that case. Because corporate credit is on a scale of 0 to 100. This is its credit score rating. Personal credit, business credit, corporate credit, 0 to 100. Makes this super easy, right? It makes this super easy. Super simple. You're like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I'm at a 0. That's 100 more to go before I get to, oh, okay, cool. I'm at a 30. That's 70 more to go before I'm at 100. Well, a good score, if a good score here is 750, a good score here would be 75 to 85. This is a great score for corporate credit. What this means is when your business gets to, or your LLC gets to a 75 to 85 corporate credit score, it means that your business is fully functional and it's profitable as well. Fully functional and profitable. That's what that means. Your business credit score doesn't tell you anything about how your business is actually being run. But your corporate credit score does. And the reason for this is because, again, we're talking about how to build. The reason for this is since corporate credit is not personally guaranteed and it also reports to a separate credit bureaus altogether, it is based solely on your ability to do what? Borrow and pay back. Similar, right? Similar to these. Open business line of credit and pay back. Open lines of credit, pay back. Well, yeah, your ability to borrow and pay back. But that's it. That is it. This is it. This is all that it's based on, not history. Not all the little details. Not all the little details, right? All the little details are you got 3 months late. Maybe you had to skip 2 months of payments. Skip 2 months, right? It's not based on all of those little details. None of that trash. Can you borrow the money and can you pay it back with your business? Period. Can you borrow and pay back? That's it. So because of that, if you borrow, let's say you borrow a total of $10,000. You borrow $10,000. Well, pay back $10,000. You just proved that you can manage $10,000. So when you're building it, instead of having good credit history, instead of having to maintain not having 20 lines of credit, right? Like you're like, oh crap, I don't want to have too many lines of credit, and then also I don't want to get rid of my oldest line of my oldest line of credit because then it's going to shrink my credit history, and shrinking my credit history would not be good at all for my credit. You don't need to worry about all that crap. Can you borrow $10,000 and pay it back? You can. Good. We'll give you more credit, and your credit score goes up. Your corporate credit score goes up. Simple as that. That's it. The way to get more lines of credit is by borrowing more money. I'm going to say that again. The way to get more, borrow more. To get more, borrow more. That's different than business and personal. For business and personal, to get more, be better with the little bit you have. Be better with the little bit you have. Corporate credit, to get more, borrow more money. Now you show us that you can borrow more. And we're going to give you a lot more, right? If you've proven over the last 5 years that you can borrow $1 million and pay it back through your business, great. We'll open up a $1 million line of credit for you. Maybe let's say you've got 10 lines of credit. Let me drag this over. This I really need to teach. You got 10, and I'm gonna draw it clearly. You got 10 lines of credit, each with $100,000 limit, which would be crazy. But let's just say you did. That is a total of $1 million line of credit. Total lines of credit limits. Total. Now, obviously, you don't need to borrow all $1 million over the next, let's say this is a 5-year span, right, for your company. Maybe you spend, I don't know, $20,000 on a new toolbox. toolbox for your business. Maybe you want to maybe once a month or twice a month you pay your employees, and maybe your payroll is $100,000 per month, right? Per month. Let's say you do that for 5 years. $100,000 per month would be okay. We're not going to go $100,000 per month. That's a bad example. Let's say you're a small business, right? And you're paying $20,000 a month for 12 months. For 12 months, I don't do quick math anymore. You guys all know this. $240,000. Right. And through this, what I'm saying is you can literally borrow from your total lines of corporate credit, $20,000, buy a new toolbox. And also you, throughout the year, you've paid your employees $240,000. Now, obviously you just pay that back, right? If your business this year, because this is the total, let's say that this is all you have to spend. This is not it, but let's say this is all your business expenses from this year. You've got a total of $260,000 that you have borrowed from your business line of credit. Let's say that your company profits $500,000 that year. Obviously, as the months are going on, you're profiting money every year. You pay that $260,000 back throughout the year as well. You borrow and you pay it back. You borrow, you pay it back. Well, I mean, you still got $240,000 that you did not use to purchase or for expenses. So this is your profit, right? That's your profit because you paid the rest. Normally, you would just pay directly out of your income. Normally, you would pay directly out of your income, but your corporate credit added a middleman to say, hey, instead, pay that here. And now you've proven this year you can borrow and pay back $260,000. So now you're going to put up a whole $260,000 line of credit. And now you'll have plus one more line of credit. And this one is plus $260,000. And now you've got a total of $1,260,000 in lines of credit limits, right? So your ability to be able to borrow and pay back is how you build your corporate credit. And that's all. It's just based on that. It's not based on the rest of the history. Now, interest rates, once again, pretty incredible. There's so many, I will say a lot more than just business credits. There's so much corporate credit that has like 0% for 6 to 12 months for corporate credits. So many of them, a lot more. So I've seen so much, right? Like just 0%. If you pay it off within the next month, 2 months, 6 months, you don't have to worry about interest. That's just awesome, period. But let's just go over some of the loans and lines of credit interest rates. So for loans, you might be able to find like 5 to 8% business loans, even less, right? For business credit cards, you might be able to find around like 7 to 10%, depending on the companies for business or for corporate credit cards. Real estate, I mean, you could be looking at 1 to 3%. 1 to 3% for real estate. For corporate auto, you could be looking at anywhere between about I'll say about 3 to 6. I think is what I've seen and read as well for corporate auto. So you just get significantly less interest rates, which is obviously great because you're keeping more money. But also, this is also more exclusive. It's even more exclusive because you can't even access corporate credit unless you specifically request it from specific banks and creditors, and you have to go to those banks and utilize their corporate stuff, and it has to be reporting to corporate credit bureaus. So it's even more exclusive, and since it's even more exclusive, you have to have some level of corporate credit first in order to do that. It might take, depending on your business, it might take 6 years or 6 months to 2 years to be able to get up to a really good corporate credit score. It just depends on the revenue of your business. The more revenue you have, the faster you'll be able to ramp it up. The less revenue, it'll be a little bit longer. But all this to say, for these three, they are completely different, and you use them for completely different purposes. Use them for completely different purposes. Now, this is where I want to talk about the 5 W's of the who, what, when, where, why, and how to use these, and kind of break down some strategies with these as well. Super simply, when it comes to personal credit, and when it comes to I'm going to write this up here. I finally got some allergy meds that work for my body, so my allergy should be going away pretty soon. All right, I want to rewrite this up here so that we can see. So when it comes to the who should use these, who should use the 3 of these? Well, to be honest with you, everyone. I'm going to say everybody. Everyone should be using a balance of all 3 of these. Well, let's talk about who in this situation. Personal. Well, obviously, the people who need to be using personal credit are individuals who have good credit scores. Because obviously, the better credit scores you have, the better offers you'll get on these interest rates, because you can get a lot lower than these averages. People who have good scores, and then also, if you have good scores and don't have much credit built up, much business credit built up, or have no LLC at all. This is for people who does this. So good scores and for no LLC. Obviously, should you use personal credit if you have bad scores? Well, yes, but that's where you need guidance and you need assistance on, building it up, as well as building up your personal guarantee. Who should be using business credit? Well, these are for people who do have LLCs, but individuals who need funding now. LLCs who need funding or loans now. What I mean by this is, if you have a business or you just set up a business and you're like, okay, I need equipment, I need tools, I also need the funding for marketing, all of this stuff up front. Business credit is what you're going to want to start setting up and start using. You're going to want to go ahead and apply for business loans, business lines of credit, business credit cards, things like that, because you need funding now. And likely, if you have a decent personal credit score, you might be able to get much more line of credit from the business, right? Maybe personally, over here, you only need, let's say, to open up a line of credit for like $20,000. You could potentially over here get a line of credit for like $300,000, depending on your business. Which would obviously be a huge help, right? You cannot fund your entire business startup based on your personal credit if you don't have obsessively amazing score. I mean, like, the highest amount of line of credit you will ever get on your personal credit is your mortgage. That's it. You're not going to open, like, in most realities, right? You can get a lot more. You can get other loans and credit cards that are massive as well, but it's much more frequent for mortgages, right? Because that's what they're for. And you're going to have those for 30 plus years, right? For 30 years. For business credit, you'll be able to potentially open up a business line of credit after setting up your EIN, right? Go to a bank and they might offer you $300,000 of a business line of credit. Corporate credit, who is this for? Well, obviously it's for individual LLCs as well. But this is for people who do not need funding now. Do not need funding now because it's going to take you a little bit to build it up. You have to start. You have to just enter into the corporate credit side first by applying for small lines of credit. Maybe $2,500 line of credit, $10,000 lines of credit, and buying and paying it back pretty much immediately. So that way you can establish corporate credit. Once you have established corporate credit, then they can go ahead and get you a line of credit, a score, and then you can start working on it. But you will not get immediate funding, right? Immediately. However, this is best for people who want long-term business growth. And wealth growth, accumulation. The reason I also say wealth as well as business is because it does not matter if you don't have a business. You should set up corporate credit even if you don't have a business. Well, one, get an LLC. LLCs are pretty inexpensive, but buying the LLC is kind of like a 401k. It's an asset. You buy the LLC just like you buy or pay into your 401k. You let it build up. You do things to build it up so that way you can have lifetime income. Hopefully, you can have a good retirement. Same thing with an LLC. You buy an LLC, set up corporate credit, build your own corporate credit for your LLC. Build your own corporate credit as for your LLC. If you don't need it, right, because you don't have a business that you are trying to fully build and grow, you're using it for your business for your personal things. Once you get to a 775 credit score, you can roll over your business and personal credits over to your corporate credit and also then get those low interest rates. Now that's where it's like, well, what business do I start to do that? You can start all types of businesses. It can be online businesses. You can start a drop shipping store. At my firm, we also have the ability for you to start a referral business. We have affiliate businesses as well, where all you need to do is you can just refer to different sorts of financial professionals and attorneys, and you can receive income from just referrals, right? Just regular affiliateships. That's all it is. And in doing that, you get 1099 income, and you can set up an LLC for your 1099 income and then set up corporate credit and start to build and accumulate, because obviously everybody will much rather have these lower interest rates, right? Everybody would much rather have these lower interest rates. Now, if you do need massive funding for something that is personal, I would not recommend going down the business credit route at all. But if you need it immediately, then yeah, go down personal credit. But if it's something that maybe in the future, as an example, you want to buy a house in 5 years, buy an LLC, start working on maybe some sort of business, start something, start building your corporate credit, start borrowing and paying back. And then in 5 years, you might have you'll have a corporate credit score of 75. And now you can take out a $500,000 line of credit. That's supposed to be not LOL, line of credit for your home. And now you've got potentially 1 to 3% on real estate for your home. And it's through your corporate credit. So this is for people who want long-term business and wealth accumulation. You make much more money and you don't have to worry about that. Let's see. Well, we've already talked about the what. Next is the when. When to start setting up your personal credit. ASAP. If you've got good, ASAP. If you've got great mentors, great credit counselors, if you got great financial professionals there to help out, yeah. As an example, I think next week I'm meeting with this week actually, I'm meeting with one of my clients' children who just turned 16 years old, and teaching them about emergency funds, banking, credit, helping them to get started. Start it ASAP. Start your personal credit ASAP, and start working on building it. Open up minimum lines of credit that you can manage. Right? Start building it up. This will help you out massively. So that way, once you are ready to open up business credit, when is a good time to open up business credit? I think honestly, the best time to start opening up business credit is when you are at least 21 plus. I think you should go ahead and buy an LLC when you're at least 21. Now, I'm not going to say I'm one of those people who say like, oh my God, you need the hustle culture and grind. But there are so many ways to make additional income. I've talked about it a few podcast episodes ago, where I talked about everyone should have fixed, variable, and indexed income sources. So if you're 21 years old, you're in college, maybe you go and you work at Dairy Queen, also set up some side business as well to just start bringing in some extra income. That's okay. But in doing that, you also open up a whole new world of funding and credit that you can start building on. So that way, when you do, let's say you do decide to have a business in the future or something like that, you've got the massive funding that you can use that you've already set up. So 21 plus, I heavily would suggest go ahead and buy an LLC to start working on business credit. Corporate credit, when to set up corporate credit. When to set up corporate credit. You need to set up corporate credit if you have any desire to build wealth. Any desire to build wealth, you need to set up corporate credit as soon as possible. If you have any desire to build wealth, obviously you need to be at least 18 years old. You need to be at least 18 years old. But if you have any desire to build corporate credit, you need to set up, if you have any desire to build wealth, you need to set up corporate credit. You have to. We're talking, you can buy a house for 1% interest rate or less. Or you could get a house for 8% or worse. Which one of those is going to allow you to have more money to be able to do more things with? Corporate credit. That's a no-brainer. So again, I got to get off my chest. When I hear people tell me, well, why would I get it on business credit when I just get it on my personal credit? I got good enough credit. Because of the simple fact that you're going to get a much better interest rate, and they're not basing it on anybody else. And you might even get some really cool interest rate strategies like 0% for 5 years and save so much more money. Save so much more money. And wealth accumulation is not just about acquiring money. It's also about keeping what you've got. So just by your crazy thought process of, well, it's fine, I got a mortgage for 5%, when you could have gotten a mortgage for 1% or 2%, you're just throwing money away. You're just throwing it away. You might as well just put it. You might as well just put it in the worst stock market account. Just deposit it into the stock market and then go tell Elon Musk to say some crazy things on Twitter. Just go do that and just lose it all. Just go straight gamble it just go straight gamble it. That's all you're doing by not having corporate credit. You're just gambling and throwing your money away. Throwing away wealth. Stop doing that. If you want to build wealth, you need corporate credit. And it's crazy. Well, Charmy, you say get it at 18 plus, but you say get business credit at 21 plus. Yeah, well, most people won't think about a business at that point in time or earlier. So if you don't care about wealth accumulation or your business growing, yeah, definitely get business credit when you're 21. But once you open up your corporate credit, you're also going to be assigned a DUNS number as well. So if you do go down the corporate credit route, you will also then start working on your DUNS number as well. Who, what, when, where to use them, or where to get funding, or where to find where. So personal credit is everywhere, right? You can apply anywhere. You're just personally guaranteeing whatever it is. Personal guarantee. I've even seen personally guaranteed business lines of credit, where it's not just your business, but it's you personally guaranteeing it, which means that I will pay for this. I am signing as my name. And if I don't pay for this, you can come after me, not just my business. You can even do that, right? So where to find these things? You can go to banks, you go to loan lenders and so on and so forth. Super easy. Business lines of credit. Go to banks with business accounts. Super simple. Banks with business accounts. You can just search like Chase Business, for example. You can also go to different business loan investors or business lenders, private equity as well. Private equity funds, private equity funds as well. They'll also lend straight to your business. And then what about where for corporate credit? Because like that's kind of the biggest thing. Like if I have to specifically request and ask, well, where do I go? It can be hard. Obviously, outside of just going to or looking for corporate accounts, which is very difficult to find because there's so few in comparison to personal and business credit. So you have to specifically go and find the corporate accounts, the corporate lines of credit. Well, oftentimes you need some sort of company or law firm or attorneys or planners that have access to those. So this is where I say another example. Down below, I've got one of my partnership business planners, Prime Corporate Services. Down below, the link to them is down below. They'll actually help you set up all three in accordance with each other and build a nice strategy. So you can click the link below. It'll take you to their beautiful, matter of fact, I'll show you their website. Right here. They'll help you out with forming your business credit, your LLCs versus corporations, starting online business, real estate investing, trading entities, registered agents, tax prep, business and corporate prep, and even estate planning. They'll do all this stuff for you. Prepare your taxes, plan your estate, build your credit. They'll do all of this stuff for you. They also have as long as you use my link down below, have no state fees and hard costs. Or excuse me, this $0 plus the state fees and hard costs, and that's it. So very simple things like this hard cost for like registered agent, things like that. They'll do all this stuff for you. And they'll help you and educate you on any of the stuff that you need. So just make sure you use my link down below. They'll also give you massive discounts as well, their discounts are pretty good, like pretty good discounts right now. So check them out. The link is in the description down below. Back to this. So you can check them out, Prime Corporate Services. If you want more specific, if you want to ask more questions or anything prior, you can just schedule an appointment with me. But you have to specifically find and open up the corporate accounts. And then you start to build up your corporate credit and you start to get your business there. And now you start to apply for more. So that's where you can find corporate accounts. But again, the biggest thing is you probably need to find some company who utilizes some sort of platform or software to help you out with that. That'll probably be your best bet in finding them the most reliably. So how to use this? Easiest way to use all of these, get an LLC. Start working with or start doing something small even. It could be something small. It could be something boring. But just open an LLC so that way you can start working on your business and your corporate credit. Once your corporate credit is at 75, around 75, move all your personal business lines of credit to your corporate credit, get lower interest rates, save more money there, When you have some sort of emergency, use your corporate credit. When you need massive funding, if you have not built up corporate credit yet, use business credit. If you know that you want to upgrade your home and it's going to cost you $120,000 to upgrade your home, I promise you, that's where you want to have business or corporate credit. Even if you are doing things personally, business and corporate credit will help out massively. Again, once you get to the point where your corporate credit is 75 and you've shown the ability to borrow and pay back, and you have massive lines of credit, even once you have gotten to that point, that's where you don't care to use business credit anymore or even personal credit. I've got a client who I've been working with for a little bit now, and she had absolutely horrible credit. I think she was about a 540 when we started working together. Well, I helped her to start an affiliateship with my company, which now pays her through 1099 income. So she's able to open up she's able to start an LLC for that. It's not even a business that she like runs and operates. She just has an LLC for the income that she's receiving from my affiliate program to her LLC. We set her up with business and corporate credit. Her corporate credit score is already up to a 50 because she put her entire life is on her corporate credit. It's already up to a 50, which now means that she's able to borrow lines of credit of $100,000 plus. Through doing that, she was able to take massive negotiations and settlements on her personal lines of credit, which would normally scare someone because it might hit their credit score and it might tank their credit sometimes. But she's like, I don't care about my personal credit because I've got my business and my corporate credit for my LLC, which is what I'm using everything for now anyway. So she was able to knock off 52% of her personal credit. 52%. Did it tank her personal credit score down from a 540 down to about a 510, I believe? Yes, it did. She doesn't care because she's actually using her other credit, and that's what her long-term credit strategies are. That's her long-term credit strategies. Is her corporate credit. And that's what she borrows and pays back for her life. She uses her personal credit for her home, or her corporate credit for her home purchases, for the furniture, for gas, and for all of these things. And she just pays it right back off, and it continues to build for her. And once she gets to a 75 corporate credit score, if there's anything left on her personal credit, then we'll just move all of her personal credit stuff over to her corporate credit. And now she has even less interest rates and can save even more money. Save even more money than what we've already saved her just by her being able to cut her personal credit in half, more than half, and move her over to corporate credit. And that's someone who never had any dreams or desires to be a business owner. She's still not a business owner. She's an owner of an LLC, but she's also using that specifically for her corporate credit. And that's getting her to a much better place. She would have never been able to open up multiple lines of $100,000 of personally guaranteed credit. Would have never, with where she was in the credit history that she had. But she had a fresh start by starting an LLC and utilizing corporate credit. So if you are not familiar with corporate credit, if you're not familiar with business credit, and you're barely familiar with personal credit, definitely reach out. The link is down in the description below. You can click on any of the links and you can be able to find and get assistance. But personal credit is literally a leash. Business credit is the door, but corporate credit is the entire kingdom to change your life completely. So which one are you building? You need to start looking at different strategies, because I promise you, if you want to be like everybody else, do what everybody else does. But isn't everybody else broke and poor? They are. Everybody else is broke and poor. So don't listen to what everybody else tells you to do, because they are broke and poor. Put it into your 401k. Keep open the oldest line of credit. Things like that. Well, guess what? They're all still serving snacks at Sam's at the age of 85 because they ran out of their 401k money within 6 months because they also got sick. And then Medicare took all the money and assets from them. Don't be like everybody else if you don't want to be like everybody else. If you want to be different, you need to start looking at and believing that you can use some of the same exact strategies that other people are using to be able to get and build wealth. And they're using good strategies. So I think I got that off my chest. Y'all have a beautiful day. It was great helping you guys out today. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.